I believe what ifs are like the butterfly effect. Do you ever ask yourself, what if I asked my crush out in high school? What if the toilet was never invented? What if Einstein just was not smart? Well, today, let's ask ourselves, what would it be like if Mario never existed? Jeff the Maniac here, and stay tuned to learn more about the origin of Mario and what I believe would be like if Mario just never came to be. Mario is an iconic character for Nintendo and gaming in general. Most will grow up and say they played some Mario game in their life, whether it be on the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, and so on. I think you know the rest that comes after, unless you've been living under a rock all your life. Mario might be the entry to the gaming community as we all know it. Unless you started off by playing Fortnite, then you might be a little too young for this video. Before Mario, Nintendo tried getting into the prospering arcade industry. Their EVR and radar scope arcade machines were such a success in Japan, they produced over 3,000 scope cabinets to release in the United States. But this wasn't a dream come true. They were left with 2,000 unsold machines. Arcade vendors complained that they were too much like Space Invaders and made too many beeping noises. This seemed unlikely that Nintendo would ever succeed in North America. After the arcade machines failed, in the early 80s, Shigeru Miyamoto was tasked with creating a video game that was appealing to Americans. Miyamoto was inspired by the American comic of Popeye, but instead of having Bluto and Popeye fighting over the love of olive oil, Miyamoto's game featured a carpenter named Jumpman who had to rescue his girlfriend named Pauline from a giant gorilla kidnapper named Donkey Kong. Now, you remember those scope machines that were left unsold? Well, before Donkey Kong, Nintendo rented a warehouse from a man in Seattle by the name of Mario Segale. Nintendo fell behind on rent and Segale went up to the company president demanding rent. He was told that he would get his rent soon. After he left, Nintendo president Minoru Arakawa and his team began jokingly referring to their pixelated character as Mario. And this is where he got his name Mario from in Donkey Kong Jr., the only game in the franchise where he played an antagonist. And then in Mario Brothers, in 1983, he got his younger brother Luigi, where they were Italian-American plumbers who had to defeat creatures that have been coming up from the sewers of New York City. Then, of course, after that, you got your Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 2, where you had to save the princess from the castle. So here's a ton of information about Mario, how he became to be, how he got his name, and how he became the plumber we all know and love. But what would it be like if he never existed? For one, it's hard to say where Nintendo would be today. Mario is the most iconic video game character and is the most selling video game character franchise of all time, selling over 500 million copies. I think he was definitely a saving grace for Nintendo back in the 80s, and it's hard to say how long Nintendo would have even lasted without Mario being created. From personal experience, I know myself, I probably would not be a gamer if it was not for Mario. I remember when I was younger playing the Mario Party series with my family on weekend nights after school, or going to my grandma's house to play Super Nintendo and play the Super Mario Brothers. I did not find any facts on who Mario may have inspired, but I am pretty sure there are plenty of programmers and game developers out there that were inspired by the little guy as well. Also, let's face it, if Mario didn't exist, we wouldn't have any of these fantastic games. And it's pretty unbelievable the journey Mario has gone through from the 80s until now. And it's crazy to think about a world where Mario just didn't exist, or anything didn't exist for that matter. But I hope you guys enjoyed my first informative kind of idea video. If you guys want me to do more what ifs, I will. But until next time, remember to change that world one smile at a time. You never know whose life you can save or change.